Hello, thank you for checking out A1 Math, and today we're looking at exponent properties with quotients. So what I want to do is follow up on the video I had yesterday dealing with properties when you're multiplying. This time we're dealing with quotients, which means we're going to have a fraction or have division between our powers. So let's take a look at our notes here. So here's three examples of different properties to go with quotients. One is that similar to when we multiply, instead of adding, we're going to subtract. And you have to have the same base. Two, when you have a positive power of a quotient, then understand that right here, this 5 will go on the numerator and the denominator. Similar here, this 3 goes into the numerator and the denominator. They have an example right here in general. And 3, when you have a negative power of a quotient, it's kind of like a combination of two things. One, when it being negative, you're going to use the reciprocal. So you're going to flip it and make it positive. So here they took the 2 over 3 and flipped it, made it 3 over 2. And change the negative exponent to positive. Then you go back to the previous example where you're going to take that exponent and put it in the numerator and the denominator. So you see here in general they flipped it, made it positive, and apply that exponent to both the numerator and the denominator. So those are three different properties. We're going to use those in the examples we're going to work right now. So here we have 12 to the 10th and 12 to the 8th. And that's similar to the first one we looked at, where we had to subtract. So I'm going to take the m and minus n. So we're going to subtract 10 from 8 because they have the same base. Now, here's the rule. When you subtract, to make things easier, what you want to do is whichever number is bigger, that's where you want to leave it. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 10 minus 8, and that's going to give me 2. So that's going to leave me 12 to the second, and it won't be anything here, so that'll be 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and simplify that and make that 12 to the second. And then you go ahead and do 12 squared, which is 144. So that's your final answer. All right, in number 5, we have an exponent that goes to the whole quotient. So that's similar to this example here, where you have the n goes for both the top and the bottom there. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to split this up, and I'm going to have 2 to the 4th and 5 to the 4th. And when I do 2 to the 4th, that's going to give me 16. And 4 to the 5th is going to give me 625. So remember, that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And the same thing with 5. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Now, to type that in your calculator, what you want to do is you want to look for a button that has this symbol on it. So, for example, if I wanted to do 2 to the 4th, I would type 2, hit the button that has this symbol called a caret, and raise it to the 4th. All right, let's take a look at number 6. In this example, it's similar to this one here, where you have a negative exponent that applies to the whole quotient. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and first flip it and make it positive. So I have 8 over 9, and the whole quotient is raised to the second. Next, I'm going to go ahead and apply that exponent to the 8 and also to the 9. And then 8 squared is going to be 64. And 9 squared is going to be 81. And then this is my final answer. All right, let's take a look at some more examples. Okay, here we've got some variables, but all the properties that we've been using remain the same. Okay, now what I'm going to do is remember that when you get ready to do subtraction for your quotient, it has to have the same base. So this f to the third, f to the seventh goes together, and the g to the fourth and g to the understood 1 goes together. So what I'm going to do is do those subtractions and do 7 minus 3. 7 minus 3 is going to be 4. So our exponent is going to be 4. So we're going to put 4 on the f. But understand, since 7 is bigger than 3, we're going to put that f in the denominator. So it's going to be f to the fourth. Next, we're going to subtract g to the fourth from g to the 1, understood 1 here. And that's going to give you 3. But since 4 is bigger, we'll leave that up here. And h to the fifth, we'll just leave right here. And that's my answer. Okay, let's look at number 8. Now, here, what we're going to do is take the negative 6 and first flip and use the reciprocal here and put t to the fourth and put that over st to just st. And everything is raised to the 6. Now I'm going to apply this 6. This is from the previous video. I'm going to apply this 6 to the t to the fourth. And that's going to be times 6. And then here, st to the 6. That's this whole thing raised to the 6th power. And because this is raised to the 6th power, this will be multiplied. So that's t to the 24th. And here, this 6 is going to go on both of these. So you have s to the 6 and t to the 6. Okay. Now we're almost done. All I have to do now is, since I have the same base, I can simplify this by subtracting. 24 minus 6 is going to give me 18. And with that 18, I have, and since the 24 is bigger, it'll be in the numerator. So I have t to the 18th over s to the 6th. And that's my final answer. All right, let's look at another example here. All right, now on this one, we're going to distribute this 5 to both the numerator and the denominator. So you'll have this 5 is going to go with this 2. So that's going to be 2 to the 5th. And then this 5 is going to multiply with this 2. That's going to be c to the 10th. So I did 5 times this 2, or this understood 1, which is 5. And 5 times this 2, which is 10. I'm going to do the same thing down here. 5 times 4, so give me c to the 20th. And then 5 times this d is going to give me d to the 5th. Yeah. So I'm going to do another divide line here. And go ahead and do 2 to the 5th, which is going to be 32. And now I'm going to go ahead and simplify here. 20 minus 10, since these have the same base, that's going to be 10. And since the 20 is bigger, we're going to leave it in the denominator. So that's going to be C to 20 minus 10, which is 10. And then we're just going to leave the D to the 5th. And this is my final answer. Okay, let's look at a few more examples. All right, so on this one, we got a negative exponent, so we're going to go ahead and flip it, make it 2 over 3. And everything here is raised to the third. So that's going to leave the 2 raised to the third and the 3 raised to the third. Okay. And 2 raised to the third is 8. And 3 raised to the third is 27. Okay, on this next problem here, what we want to do is take this 2 and distribute to each exponent here, or everything on every single thing we have in there. Okay, we don't have to flip or anything like that. So we're just going to say x raised to the 3 times 2, which is 6. Y, which has an understood 1 times 2, which is 2. Down here we have x to the second, and then y to the 6th. All right, now, wherever we have like bases, we've got x and x here, so we're going to do 6 minus 2, and 6 minus 2 is 4. So, since the 6 is bigger, we're going to leave that x up here with 4. Now we're going to do 6 minus 2 for the y, and since the 6 is bigger, we're going to leave it in the denominator and have y to the 4th. And this is our final answer. All right, now on our last problem here, what we're going to do is first write the reciprocal, which is going to be g to the 7 over 5f to the 3rd, and all of that's being multiplied by 2. Okay, now I'm going to take this 2, and it's going to go in everything here. We're going to do 2 times 7, 2 times this understood 1 by the 5, 2 times this 3 here. So that's going to get us g to the 14th, 5 raised to the 2nd, and then f raised to the 6th. Okay, and there's no like basis to do any subtraction. The only thing we can do is go ahead and figure out this 5 to the 2nd, which is going to be 25. So that's going to leave us with g to the 14th over 25 f to the 6th. Okay, now that's exponent properties with quotients. Remember, you want to make sure that you understand the rules. These are some of the basic ones where you subtract when you're dividing. If you have an exponent raised to the whole quotient, you distribute for the numerator and the denominator. And finally, if you have a negative exponent, you flip it before you do the exact same thing. Okay? I want to thank you for checking out A1 Math, and have a nice day.